Hey guys, how's it going? Joe Smith here. So I'm sitting in my Maverick, my 2022 Ford Maverick XLT 2.0, 2 liter. It's got the tow package and the FX Sport package. As of right now, I have 2,096 miles. I've had it since October 11th. It has been down to Austin and back for an F1 race. It has been on a few hunting trips, and it's just, honestly, it's performed very well. I had a 2011 Ford Ranger Sport 4x4 for 7-8 years, and then got rid of it. Ended up in a full-size Chevy Silverado just for about 6 months until this order for this truck came in. I've never been one for a full-size truck. I just don't personally need one. I have a small trailer. It's a 5x8 trailer. That's the biggest thing I've ever pulled. Besides that, if I just need a four-wheeler to fit in the back, and then anything that's applicable to hunting, basically. I don't haul much. So basically, as long as my vehicles or my trucks are capable of doing the light bit of off-roading that I need to maybe retrieve an animal or something of that nature, then I'm usually pretty happy. I've been described as a minimalist multiple times. So a lot of the features that came with this truck, I didn't even get I don't remember the package that has all the extra features. I didn't even get that one. But I do still feel like I'm in a bit of a spaceship in comparison to what I've had in the past. I live in Texas, and so our hunting is more or less harvesting. I sit in a metal box and I pick out which deer I want at one of my deer feeders, and I unalive it. And then it goes in my freezer, and I enjoy it the rest of the year. So for me, my needs of a truck or an off-road truck are that of getting from the county road to my deer stand or my deer feeder. I do have spots where wheels get off the ground, and it's muddy and it's ruddy, but I'm not rock crawling, I'm not going bogging in mud pits, any of that. And I have had this go through a creek bed where there was running water with a soft bottom. It wasn't very wide. I didn't need to get a large running start or anything, but it went through it without issue. I think the fact that this truck being as light as it is definitely helps. So it's able to skim across most stuff. And at the time, I even had about 200 pounds of stuff in the bed of the truck, and then I also had 4 people in the cab. So I guess you could say it was almost at max weight. I'm sure, obviously we can all put heavier stuff in our trucks, but it had a decent amount of weight in it, and it handled it just fine. That was, I guess, the most treacherous I've had the truck go through, but it handled it just fine. As far as on-road goes, I have BF Goodrich KO2s that I put on here. With only 6 miles on the truck, I went ahead and put new tires on it, just because the little bit of off-roading that I do, it is necessary for those tires. That's really the only upgrade I need. I do have a 2-inch lift level kit that's on the way for this, that's supposed to ship out next week. I may do another video once that gets here and that's all installed. But for right now, this truck has it's been great. It's been working out. It's been fantastic. My gas mileage has been phenomenal. It on the way to Austin and back, it was just me with a single backpack and then a buddy with a single carry-on. He flew in and we went and saw a Formula One race in Austin. But that was a 3.5-hour drive there and about a 3.5-hour drive back. And I reset the trip on right as I was leaving on the way down there. We did about 80 to 84 miles an hour on the way down there. Very light traffic, so we were moving highway speeds for 90% of that. And then even including the stop-start driving in Austin that I had to do, and that included picking up another friend from the airport and just going to and from the track. Obviously, it's a big sporting event, so there's a lot of start and stop in those types of situations when you're trying to get into parking. But still, when I got back from that trip, and that was a very light trip, and by light I mean it was just, there wasn't a lot in the truck. I mean, I have my basic tools that I keep in the truck that I'll go over, but it was just very light, and I managed to get 28.5 miles to the gallon there, doing all the running there and around town and around Austin, and going to get tacos and whatnot like any normal Texan does when in Austin, and then back. So it was about 28.5, and again, that was 84 miles an hour to and from. So the gas mileage was absolutely fantastic. It's leaps and bounds better than any other truck I've ever had. Now, I have noticed that when I've gone down to the deer lease, which is where I hunt, the trip that I had 4 people in the cab, and then I had the truck bed loaded up with about 250, 300 pounds of gear just between us 4, and we had some corn back there, and rifle, or I had a rifle, and then we had some bow cases and just all of our stuff. That trip, I managed 23 miles to the gallon, and that was 3.5 hours there. Then that included some running, off-road, 2 deer feeders, and one night was even retrieving an animal that was unalived by my buddy. And then we went into town, got something to eat, came back, and so even with weighted down, if you want to say that, I still got 23 miles to the gallon, which in comparison, my 2011 Ford Ranger, and that one had a V6, and it got, I think the best I ever got in that was like 17 or 18 miles to the gallon. It had 31s and a level on it, so nothing fancy, but it was stock everywhere else. And I thought that was decent and did what I needed it to. But this truck, even the extra 4 or 5 miles to the gallon, fully loaded down, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say fully loaded down, we'll say, was great. It was fantastic. The only thing that I have pulled with this so far was when I was out at the deer lease, I did hook up to a water trailer for about a mile, and that was just because somebody needed it moved from one piece of property to the other. So I don't have any real towing experience in the truck yet. I don't know how much that water trailer weighed. It did have water in it. I could feel the slosh of the water in the tank on the braking. It was very flat where I was, so there was no issue there, but it did handle it without issue. I'm sure the all-wheel drive helped, and just kind of, because we were on some loose gravel and stuff when we were off the road, but it was dry, no mud, no rain, nothing, no extra slip to be involved. I'd say the overall rating that I would give this truck for what it is, I'm not comparing it to like a midsize, like a Tacoma or a Ranger. I am comparing it to the 2011 and earlier type trucks. So maybe like a Chevy S10 or an older Ford Ranger, the body style that we've all seen a million times because there's still a million of them on the road. This truck is very similar to, it's a few inches wider than my old 2011 Ranger. And it's actually only like an inch or two longer, and I had the extended cab as well in the Ranger, but somehow this thing seems so much roomier inside than that thing ever was. Yes, I understand this is a 4-door, and that was only ever an extended cab with enough room in the back to fit a 3-year-old maybe, but it's roomy. I'm 5'6". I maybe weigh like 135 pounds, so my seat, my cockpit area, it's smaller. So whoever sits behind me, they generally have a little bit more leg room than I'm sure any other average American who's probably going to be taller than me. But I did have my buddy who was behind me. He's, I think, 6 foot or 6'1", and he said that the ride down to the deer lease and back, he was more than comfortable. and he said he'd do it again without issue. And I had my other friend Kyle in the passenger seat. I'm sure he's probably at least 6', 6'1". I don't know. Whenever you get over 5'10" to me, you're all 6 foot. So, but he was in the passenger seat comfortably, and then I had a short friend in the back behind him. Nobody had any issues. And then what was nice was with all the extra charging ports on the back of the center console, it made it nice because on the way to and from, if anybody needed a charger device of any kind, we had plenty of ports for people to stay charged. And then the comfort level was great. All of our gear was in the back, and just we had room. It was fantastic. This truck has performed well. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice because I almost feel like because it's built on maybe well, it's the unibody, but it's maybe a frame that's shared with cars or maybe crossovers, that it handles on road better than any other truck would, even an older Ranger, but those are just stiff because they're just older technology. But this truck has been great. I've loved how it's handled off-road. I've loved how it's handled on-road. Not that I'm exactly racing it around, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm a bit of a granny driver, to be honest, when I'm in town. But no, it's been great. In my daily driving, I reset the odometer when I was doing some daily driving, just like running some errands to and from work for a week, and I still got 22 miles to the gallon. I am probably one of the few people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that don't have to get on the highway to go to work. I live about 10 minutes from where I work. And so I don't have any periods where I'm going for a long period of time without stopping. So most of my commute, even though it's short, it is start-stop. And so a week of that added up, it averaged out to about 21, 22 miles to the gallon, which for city driving, I don't think anybody's really going to complain about, seeing as you have a truck bed in the back and, decent amount of space inside. I did put... I stole a car seat from my parents. I stole one of my niece's car seats, and just wanted to put it in, see how it would fit for when I inevitably go steal my nieces and take them somewhere. But there was plenty of room, very easy to hook up. Since the back seat actually folds forward, it's actually a lot easier to get that back strap if you have a car seat that utilizes it that way. The car seat that I used was one that had 3 points of contact. It was the 2 down on each side by the base, and then the 1 over the back. I don't have any experience with any other car seats, so if that's something that you're looking for an answer to, maybe I can find one. I don't know. All the cubbies in this thing have been actually pretty nice. I thought when I got in this and I saw like kind of all the places to stick stuff, I was like, that's just a lot of places for dust to enter and or stuff to get dirty. And I've come to utilize a lot of these things. The center console, I feel like it's got plenty of room. I have I have a power inverter that I keep in there, and then just some extra napkins for, I don't know, whatever, a pen, and then just some other things. Full-size handgun hypothetically could fit in there, if that is information that you're looking for, quite comfortably. Just saying. I did reorganize. I'll show you here shortly. I did remove, or I'm sorry, I didn't remove. I pulled the back seat forward, so the bottom of the back seat folds up, and then obviously the back part of the back seat folds forward. I'll go through my tools that I have in the toolbox underneath the seat, which it being as deep as, I didn't realize how deep it was. I was able to fit so much stuff in there. I do have stuff behind the seat as well. It may look like that when it folds back flusher to that, more flush to the, I don't know what you would call it, I guess the rear wall that it shares with the truck bed. It may look like it closes down to a little bit of a gap, but it's kind of misleading, and I've actually gotten to fit a fair amount of stuff back there. Like I have an entire toolkit that I keep back there. You can relocate the jack a little bit to where it's still very secure. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to rattle, which is what I did. It was mounted like in the center, and I moved it to the right side. Well, I guess to my right, which I was looking at, and then I was able to get some stuff in there. I have a cover for the back seat for my dog. And yeah, but this thing has been pretty great. The ample storage in the doors has actually come in more handy than I thought it would, and it was storage that I didn't realize I needed until I started daily driving this truck. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's cool to have a cup holder in the door, but you never really utilize it because you have a cup holder right next to you in the center console. Well, when you're out doing something and maybe you've got a buddy that dips and his spitter's taking up one of the cup holders, or you can have him, if you're grossed out by it, you can have him put it in the door or something like that, and then it just keeps it. It's room you didn't know you needed until you have it, and then it's nice. Now, I'm sure if you're coming from a larger vehicle, then you might, already be kind of figuring out, well, where can I put this? Where can I put this? And I'll admit that the tools that I had in my full-size truck, I was worried initially how I was going to fit them all in this. But then when I opened up the back seat for the first time and lifted it up, that's how deep the cubbies were, everything fit. And then some. I ended up putting things that I didn't have in my other truck in this truck, which I'm happy to have, that I didn't originally have in my full-size truck. And it's not that I didn't have them there because there wasn't room. I didn't have them in there because there wasn't a good place to put them to where they were secure. I just kind of I don't like things moving around while I'm driving if I hit the brakes hard or whatever. So next, I'm going to go ahead and load up my truck like I would as if I was going hunting, like with just me. And then I will load up my truck as if I was going hunting with a group of buddies. And what I'm kind of hoping to show you is how I personally have utilized all the space in this truck, and how, I guess, utilitarian it really can be. The only thing that I'm really just kind of besides myself on about this truck is the cubby next to the display. I would love to know what people are putting in there. I, as a joke, just put a quarter in there, accidentally pulled off too hard, and the quarter flew out. Don't know where it went. It's under a seat somewhere. So when this car eventually explodes from me driving it for so long, I'm sure I'll find that quarter then. But I don't know what realistically goes in there. It's an odd depth. It's an odd height. It's not very wide. And it just seems like I appreciate the extra space to put something, but I almost want somebody to tell me what to put there so then I can utilize it, because that's really the only part of the truck that I'm not currently utilizing, is that cubby next to the display. Besides that, I'm very happy with the truck. As far as the vehicles go that I personally have had, which I've had a 94 Ford Ranger. It was a single cab, not the extended cab. And then after that's when I went to the 2011 Ford Ranger. And then that was the extended cab, 4-wheel drive, and 6-foot bed. And I love that truck, utilized it great. But what's nice about this is I feel like the Maverick is a continuation of what the Ford Ranger maybe should have been, because I think we all maybe expected the Ford Ranger to be a little bit more similar to what it was when it was last made and sold here in 2011. That just, kind of smaller any person pickup truck that can be utilized in so many different ways, whether you're just throwing a lawnmower in the back, or you're throwing a four-wheeler, or maybe if you want to throw a small trailer on it, you can. This truck will do that as well. It just has the added comfort of coming with 4 doors. Yes, you do give up some bed size, but for what I do personally, I'm fine with that, because with my tailgate down, a four-wheeler will still go in the back. And this has updated technology, obviously, that the Ranger never got. I mean, realistically, the Ford Ranger was the same that it was since, like, I think 2006 was the last time it got modernized, if you will, and then it was the same until 2011 when they quit making it. I'm sorry, quit selling it here. But when it came back, it came in at such a high price point that I think people were underwhelmed with it. So I'm really appreciative of what this truck comes with and everything that it's done for me, and I've been able to utilize, or what I've been able to do with it. So, well, I guess I'm going to go through and try and get some videos of. I'll try to get some videos of the interior, and then I will load the truck up, show you how I store things, where I put things, how I utilize the space, and we'll go from there.